Start the recorder. Start the other recorder. Rich has been. Rich, if you've been in there since 8, yeah, definitely a quiet show. Nothing controversial between 8 and 8:30 tonight.
Nothing for the censors to worry about.
No. Apart from us just talking about school teachers and the time off they get, but they're gloss over that. Not a school teacher, eh, Rich? Right. Okay, so everything's going. I better send the link out. That'd be a good idea.
That would help. Says his wife is.
Teachers for them.
Yeah, absolutely. They work really, really hard.
Yeah,
they definitely don't get paid enough.
Yeah, I could do with more time off. Right, let's sing this out. Okay, link sent out. Right, Jason Coons, welcome back from your holiday.
Thank you very much, Ian. It's good to be back. We had a nice break. The weather was relatively kind to us. So.
Oh, very good. So you had a internet-free week?
Yeah, we did actually. One of the mobile signals pretty flaky where we were down in Devon, and also there was no wireless in the flat we stayed in. So it was an interesting week. I feel very much out of touch.
Yeah, that was like when I was in Scotland. There was no 3G up in the west of Scotland at all, and there was no phone signal even at all where I was staying. So no Wi-Fi, no phone signal, nothing. So it probably do you good every now and again to be disconnected for a while.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, it was good to be disconnected, but there are still times when you want to find things to do that it's just nice to have it there.
Yeah, it's amazing actually how you look at that. You know, you think, oh, where should we go today? Let's have a look on the internet. No, let's have a look at a map.
Oh no, I was always useless with those. Give me turn-by-turn directions any day.
That was where the good thing with the offline maps comes in on the on Android. So I had on my Nexus tablet. I had the offline maps of the whole area, so I could flick around the maps and look at how distances were and how long things would take to get there without having to have a signal. So that's pretty good actually.
Yeah, it's also things that maps can't provide. Like for example, when we were on holiday, we had to get the kids' school shoes. So I just put in Brantanos into Nokia Drive and found the place and drove straight there.
Oh, that's good. It's amazing how we get
other shoe stores are available.
Yeah, and probably more expensive. I've got kids' shoes over the weekend from another shoe shop, but ludicrous prices, more for their shoes than pay for mine and wives put together, I think.
Yeah, and they'll be scuffed and ruined before half term.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Gary did say he would join us. He was en route from a custom meeting, so he would join us at some point, maybe after 9 o'clock. So it depends on the travel. And Andrew said he might join us if he's back, but he wasn't back. So it's just us and Rich, I think, at the moment.
There's always the risk of the universe imploding if me and Andrew are on at the same time.
Yeah, so I'll have to chuck you off if he comes on, maybe. But plenty to talk about. There was lots of Windows 8 news from IFA last week where Gary was, so if we can get an update from Gary, but we can talk about the Windows 8 news. There was some new Android devices, new Windows Phone, Windows 8 phone, Windows Phone 8. Which one is it?
The Ativ.
Yes.
Samsung.
We have some news about Microsoft killing Internet TV in Media Center. My Movies updates, some new app updates for some new TV apps, I should say, and also briefly mentioned a couple of things on the Raspberry Pi as well. So I will start off. I just want to say hello to anybody I met at the Preston Raspberry Jam last night. This is the Raspberry sort of Pi user group kind of thing. And it was up in university in Preston, and there was about 30 odd people there. It was the second meeting I've been to. Very good fun, and people show off all different projects. The remote control cars being driven by the Raspberry Pi with a proximity sensor is just cool. I was talking to my kids, and my kids said anything with robots and automatic is cool. So with the Raspberry Pi, it's even more cool. But it's good fun to see how that's working, because it's so low powered. The battery that drives the motors will drive the Raspberry Pi as well.
Excellent. So we could see some DIY Roombas.
Yes, I think so, because this he was driving it and it wouldn't crash into anything because it's got a proximity sensor on it. And as soon as the proximity sensor detected something, obviously with it being software, it would just stop the motors. And he said theoretically you could make a very simple mod to his program to map the whole room, because it could know where it is in the room, and it knows it's been forward, it knows it's been backwards, and it knows where the buffers are. So you could actually get it to map out a room, and like chairs and tables it would avoid and things. So I thought it was quite cool.
Excellent. Maybe a future Mars explorer.
Yep, that's exactly what someone said. Yeah, with a £29 board. But I was there and I showed off the MPEG-2 playback in the Raspberry Pi, which is something we talked about last week on the show. But if anybody doesn't know, you can effectively buy a code that unlocks the MPEG-2 playback for the Raspberry Pi, and it's £2.40, so not vast amount of money. The VC1 codec is £1.20, and it just enables those codecs. So I tried a DVD, unencrypted DVD, and that worked. So I could watch that, which you previously couldn't. And you can watch Media Center on it as well. So anything you've recorded on a Media Center PC, you can get through the file share and watch as well. So if you're like you're doing with Media Center, you could build a little cheap extender from a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, no, it sounds really good. I mean, this was the first time actually on our trip that actually, instead of taking DVDs with us, I just took a hard drive and the Iconia with us and a HDMI cable, and just copied a few of the kids' DVD rips onto there and just played them, straight through there. So, having something as small as the Raspberry Pi that you could just take with you with a portable flash drive or something, it's a really good way.
Plug it straight to the HDMI of the TV. Yeah, it's a good way of doing it. So I demonstrated that, but then my lads demonstrated Scratch as well. So they were a bit nervous about going up there, but everyone was very friendly, and so they went up there and sort of showed why they like Scratch and why it's attracting kids. And so I think it was nice for the other guys in the group, who were probably a very similar age group to me or a bit younger, and to see some kids with enthusiasm for this stuff rather than just sort of playing on Xbox games all the time. So that's nice. It's nice to see, and yeah, they were a bit nervous, but they were okay once they got up there.
Yeah, no, I mean, we said before, isn't it? Yeah, that's what the device is invented for, getting kids interested. So it's good to see them doing just that. Yeah,
absolutely. So I think there's a Eventbrite or raspberryjam.eventbrite.com where they've got a list of them there, and anyway, so we'll also have one in Wigan as well at our user group day. So anybody's still plenty of time to register for that one. We're going to see you there. And James, my son, said he's going to show anybody Raspberry Pi. So if you come and you bring your kid along, they can have a look at a bit of Scratch programming as well while you're there. Right. So I wanted to go through quite a busy week. So I saw this is something I thought you'd be interested in. When I saw the information coming out, the first Windows Phone 8 device has been announced. Samsung now. I'm surprised that Samsung got to go first, but it may be something to do with the court cases. And but yeah, what can you tell? Did you see? Have you caught up on the news and you've seen this Samsung phone?
I must admit, I haven't. I've had a very brief look at it, so I know it's got a 4.8 inch screen, which is obviously quite one of the biggest. I think the biggest was the time, which was 4.7, I think, wasn't it? Dual
Tiny.
core. Yeah, exactly. Dual core, which is one of the big key features of Windows Phone 8. Quite a big battery as well for how thick the device. I think it was a 2100 milliamp. I think
2300.
2300. So should hopefully get some good battery life. Although as we say every week on TDL Mobile, it's you just gone are the days where you get more than a day out of a phone, regardless of how big the battery is.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's good to see Samsung back in the game. I think Samsung pretty much second after Nokia in a way in terms of their support of Windows Phone. I know they've had quite a few devices. Interesting enough, kind of as Windows Phone 7 was getting towards the end of its life, they certainly launched a few new extra devices. So it's interesting to see Samsung get to go first, when Nokia kind of considered their a more premier partner.
Yeah, because as we record this on Tuesday evening, the Windows the Nokia announcement should be tomorrow, Wednesday night. Oh, Wednesday
Yes.
after. Is it Wednesday night for us, or is it Wednesday afternoon?
Wednesday night, I think it's happening about lunchtime-ish. I noticed today there was WP Central issue had a few posts up regarding some teaser trailers that Nokia have started to put out. So it should be an interesting event. I think the only disappointment is that rumours are that we're not going to see devices till around the November timeframe. So once again, you get these, build-ups of excitement only to, still have 2 months to go.
Yeah. And in the meantime, with new Android devices coming out, and obviously the iPhone as well, and it just kind of dilutes it. I think the effect of the announcement.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much with, hopefully there should be the iPhone 5 announcement, and you can pretty much guarantee that they'll be available, to at least pre-order within the week, if not the same day.
Mm.
So it'd be good, I guess it's that whole argument, isn't it, about when you rely on OEM partners that, they need time to ramp up production, whereas Apple, they maintain and manage the whole process. So when the device is ready, the device is ready. It's not a case of, the operating system being ready and then it having to go to hardware manufacturers.
Yeah, Rich saying the iPhone announcement is September 12th. But it
Yeah.
wouldn't be great if Nokia announced this tomorrow and said, "I'm available to pre-order from tomorrow."
Yes. Yeah. No. That would be nice. I mean, people. It's shown from the iPhone. People are interested in pre-ordering it. They don't mind. They've got a bit of a wait. They just want to. They want to hand their cash over. So
Mm.
if people are willing to do that, why wouldn't you give them away? It's like. I mean, I feel, digressing slightly, that the whole excitement around the Surface has almost disappeared. Really.
Yeah.
If that could have been pre-ordered, it would have built up discussions and talking points, and that's I guess maybe when they release some more information that that excitement might build again. But no, I mean, going back to the Samsung device, it looks really nice. I mean, I've still got my Omnia 7. I've had a few niggles with it, so I was a bit nervous about Samsung and the hardware that goes into the devices, but hopefully that's all in the past now, and we shall see.
Yeah, I guess it's similar in hardware to the something like the Galaxy S3, something like that. It's a similar generation of hardware.
Yes, yeah.
It's a dual
And
core processor and what?
yes, I mean, it's gig of RAM, 8 megapixel camera, with storage options of 16 or 32, and also the built-in micro SD support, which is new for Windows Phone 8. So it's certainly a nice looking device, and it's gonna be interesting to see how hardware manufacturers react to the Samsung Apple judgment. Whether or not people will start to shy away maybe from Android.
Yeah. I mean, certainly, if there's any doubts, if you've got any, or if a company was concerned about the Android and being litigated, then Windows Phone is a good way of going because that avoids a double hit, isn't it? On Android at the moment, you've got the payments that you potentially have to make to Microsoft anyway,
Yes.
and then you've got any potential legal action from Apple. So if you go Windows
Mhm.
Phone, you're covered both ways.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft's always tried to make a big thing about proving to the OEMs that Android isn't a free operating system. And Samsung's one of those companies that's in a situation now where they do have to pay royalties to Microsoft. And I think all they're trying to do is say, look, you could pay whatever it is, the $30 odd royalties or whatever it might be for Android, or you can pay $30 for a Windows Phone license.
Mm.
And the most interesting thing for me that came out of that court case was that, the Apple made a big thing about how them and Microsoft had got these patent agreements in place that, one, they won't copy each other, and two, that they're cross-licensing the technologies.
And it just it has got the potential, I suppose, of giving Windows Phone an extra boost with people looking at that. But I suppose to the average consumer, that none of this court case makes any difference. But it does it in the sort of, perhaps when companies like Samsung are looking at new devices and going forward, and potential injunctions and things like that, then they know that there's going to be no issues with the Windows Phone because they're kind of indemnified from Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest desire for Windows Phone 8 is that it ends this gap that there is between, it clearly is between Android and iPhone in terms of features and the possibility of having applications on the platform. I know there's some applications that still don't exist because Windows CE just doesn't support them, like the game engines and everything like that. And because I still think Windows Phone's got such an uphill struggle in terms of trying to build that momentum and gain sales and gain interest, because there is still that question mark in terms of people choosing the iPhone or an Android device still, just because they're so much more advanced.
Yeah, and things like, it's just little things like the micro SD card that you can use. That makes a big difference, because on my Galaxy Note, I do have an SD card in there, and I've got all my music on it, and I've still got then enough room on the phone itself for the apps. So, that is a nice feature over my Windows Phone where I can't do that. So I think it's good that they're including these features, and I hope it is the step forward that it needs.
Yeah, because I think it's gone beyond that point now where it's going to get a pass. It's got to take a big leap forward, and things like the dual core processors, and the supporting of the game engines and the removable storage, as you mentioned, they're all things that should hopefully close that app gap that there still is.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see. So, it's so I'm looking forward to seeing what Nokia come up with. But I don't like the look at this. I quite like the Samsung phones at the moment. So I think this one looks a nice one, and I think the 4.8-inch screen, while being tiny, is is better than some of the others.
Yeah, I know. I see. Richard said about getting the specs refreshed, and I think there's the potential for that to happen. We could maybe see after the first 8 to 12 months that the quad core stuff starts coming along, because we should see we know we'll get the dual core. We should see some LTE devices come out this fall, this autumn.
Yeah, you're getting there.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Hardware does move so fast. It'll be interesting to see what new hardware developments do come out. But also, we should see the move on to maybe triple or quad cores, and also better cameras. I'm sure at some point there'll be a Nokia PureView.
Yeah, they're going to incorporate that technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to do. I think, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the next generations. And like Rich said, if they need to keep the hardware going, like if you look at like the Galaxy range, you had the S2 and then the S3, and they need to keep up with Android. Really, I know that really they don't. Things like the processor doesn't need to be kept parity, but just need to have a refresh. But I do like the fact that the models aren't being replaced over and over again, so that this was my gripe with Android when I first got into Android, was you buy the phone and within 6 months it's an old phone, you're not getting updates, and no one wants to be seen dead with that phone.
Yeah. I mean,
whereas a bit stability is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, we have got the 18-month commitment now, which I know they still need to come good on. So it's going to be interesting, and also, in a way, Nokia needs the hardware to keep changing, because they need to sell phones, and the best way to do that is to have new phones with better features coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think we could see a couple of Nokia phones? I think there's sort of leaks of the 820 and the 920.
Yeah, I kind of try not to get my hopes up too much, because I expected more phones to be announced when the original Windows Phone announcements came, and really we've only if you kind of discount the low end device, we've only really seen three devices: the 710, the 800, and the 900. So it'd be nice to see them come out with a surprise device. It's always, in some ways, it's kind of disappointing when everything leaks out ahead of the event.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see some surprises unveiled. But I guess it makes sense to have an evolution of what they have already. But yeah, it'd be nice to see a surprise, real top end device, maybe a Nokia 1000 or something.
With a 5.5-inch screen. That put my name down for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what Windows Phone goes up to, because Microsoft have kind of in a way hinted that maybe Windows Phone goes up to 7 inches. So it'll be interesting.
As I noticed, as we joked about the Note, the Galaxy Note that I like, there's a new one of those out, the Galaxy Note 2, that's got a 5.5-inch screen on it.
Yes.
Well, but I totally got used to this, the Galaxy Note that I've got there, but I don't see it on the camera. Viewers can see it on the camera, and it looks perfectly normal to me. But when I compare it with the HD7, I don't think I can get this in shot really. The HD7 looks tiny, like a tiny little phone, but it's not really. It's quite a big phone.
Yeah.
But I've got used to it. I like my. It's just there's still an issue with battery life on Android and quirkiness. I still have to reboot it, and every now and again it doesn't bring all the new emails in and things like that. So if they can get Rich is laughing about the innuendos that he could be making now. Yes, enough said on that. But if you can get the sort of the stability of iOS with the flexibility of Android in Windows Phone, then I think they're onto a good halfway house between the two platforms there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just as a closing comment, really, I think the other reason why Windows Phone 8 can't afford to be a disappointment in terms of what the leap forward is because, as Rich pointed out, we've got the iPhone 5 coming next week, and that's going to potentially steal any thunder unless Microsoft, really do take a leap forward. I'm also hoping tomorrow that we actually see this talked about announcement of the consumer features, which they still haven't talked about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
there's all developer stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think we want to see some of the features. Really, there's not been a lot of talk of sort of the features, and maybe we'll see some more on 7.8 as well, and what that's going to get.
Yes, yeah. Still, from what I'm seeing, it's still just going to be the start screen. But I think people are still hoping that it might be something more. But I think, to be honest, I think Windows CE is just coming to the end of its life, and if you imagine the amount of investment they need to do in terms of engineering effort and testing on a platform that's barely made a dent in the market, it just doesn't make financial sense.
Yeah. So anyway, it's good stuff. I'm looking forward to that. So maybe we could persuade you to do a blog post about the Nokia stuff when you get a chance to digest the info.
Yes, I will certainly try and do that.
Now the other, Rich, just to comment on that, Rich says should have called it, Windows Phone 8, not 7.8, and left the features out. iOS on the old phones, that on the old iPhones. That's exactly. I think I'm not sure if you were on that show, but certainly I know in the previous show we talked about that. If you look at iOS 6, there's a whole range of features, and when you look at the actual small print, the 3GS, I think I'm saying I'll have to listen back to the show, but the 3GS gets the features, or the 3GS gets iOS 6. But when you look at what features are supported, there's hardly any. So you're not really gaining a lot. But as far as when you first look at it, you're getting the latest iOS version on your old phone. And I do wonder whether they're better calling it Windows Phone 8. And basically, if you've got one of these, my old HTC, you're going to get some of the features. And if you've got a new Nokia, then you get all the features. And that way, people with the old phones wouldn't feel like they've been ditched. I don't know whether it's a big problem with the consumers, but to us enthusiasts, we want the latest one, don't we?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think in hindsight, and I originally thought that was a good idea, but I think it could have led to confusion. I mean, the fact that if it is all you're getting is the start screen, then I think people would feel a bit cheated. Well, hang on a sec, this says Windows Phone 8 on the tin, but actually inside I just get a new start screen. And I think also it had the potential to cause confusion with apps, because apps that would clearly state compatible with Windows Phone 8, well, hang on a sec, it won't work on my Windows Phone 8 device. So I can see both sides of the argument, and yes, it would have been nice and would have maybe kind of hidden some of the potential for the anger, but I think in the long run, I think it would have maybe caused more negative issues.
Yeah, maybe. Well, certainly I think existing Windows Phone users are going to feel a little bit dumped on, but then it's a while, isn't it? You know, a lot of these phones are 2 years old now. People like you in your position where you're coming to the end of the contract anyway, and you'll be waiting for the new iPhone anyway.
Yeah, and exactly, and also I think consumers they're not like us. They're not always watching out for the latest updates.
Yeah.
If it prompts them on their phone, then they'll update. But if not, then they're probably pretty much none the wiser. Although I'm sure the Windows Phone 8 launch might make the national news and whatnot. In which case, I guess people might be curious. But then, as you say, really, if you think about the number of devices that have probably been sold in the 12 months where it really matters in terms of people being the most distanced away from upgrades, I don't think the numbers are very big.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I wish they were, but I don't think they are.
Yeah. Now, what about there's been a whole host of Windows 8 stuff been announced at IFA last week. A lot of tablets, hybrids, and things like that. Now, at first, these look great. Loads of all these great hybrids and things. But when you look into them, I'm not sure they're quite all as good as they seem, because a lot of them seem to be Atom-powered netbooks with a touchscreen thrown on them and a detachable keyboard. I don't know. Did you see any of them? Samsung's had a couple.
Again, yeah, I've managed to catch up a bit. So I know they announced three: the Windows RT ARM based, a Windows 8 tablet, and then also a Windows 8 Pro, wasn't it? Which is so the Windows 8 device is Atom based, as you say, and the PC Pro one is a Core i5, I think it was.
Yeah.
Might have even been a choice of a Core i7. So I think we're just gonna see more and more of these get announced. But as you say, I think I heard Paul Thurrott talking on Windows Weekly saying that in some ways Intel need to ditch the Atom brand, because I think it has been tarnished from the old netbooks. Although, to be honest, I was kind of got on okay with mine, but I think this Atom is going to be slightly different in that it's going to be more ARM type in terms of being system on a chip. Will support the always on, always connected, similar to the ARM devices. Right. So it's really just going to be if the performance can come up.
Yeah, I mean, my visions are of my netbooks, which were okay, but still sluggish and unresponsive, and it just kind of brings. And that's the last thing you want on a touchscreen, where you're going to swipe across and 30 seconds later it follows you.
Yeah, I mean the Iconia has only got the AMD Fusion in it, which is only 1 GHz. So I think and that handles things fine. You can see it slow down sometimes, but hopefully with the next generation Atom, they should get around that. And also, I mean, Windows 8 has been really optimized. It does run better.
Yeah, I know. I've definitely noticed that. That it does run. It does seem to run. Like my machine at work definitely runs better. I'll tell you what does run better, which is slightly off topic on this, but if you use the VPN, the built-in Windows VPN client, I was using it today, and it's so fast when you connect. In previous versions, when you right click and connect and wait, and then eventually it connects. And I was using it today, and sort of saved the password, using it password in it. So you go into the charm, do settings, so you can see the network settings. It's listed up there. You do connect, boom, it's connected, and really, really quick. And I think I've actually getting used to the way you get into these things with the charms now. So it's taken me a while, Windows 8, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, as you say, it's certainly a lot quicker. I know. I mean, I tend to be using the the Cisco client rather than the built-in Windows stuff. But I have got a Windows VPN connection back to my home server, and so it does connect quite quickly. And one of the things I've noticed with the Iconia is that the wireless is on before I'm even ready. Kind of got ready to use the device. It really does come back on and connects so much quicker than Windows 7 did.
And I've even found like loading app desktop applications. I've got used to how quick that is, and you can just hit Windows key and start typing, and it does bring them up as quick as Windows 7 in the start search box. So I don't think you really lose out on a in a desktop environment when you're running Windows 8. Apart from you don't get the benefit of the Metro apps, but the rest of it works pretty well. And someone did tell me a good key today. I think it was Windows X, which brings up the old right click on the right click menu when you click on the right click on the start button or the start tile as it pops up. So it gives you the run as admin and manage and all those those useful commands. So I think it was just Windows X to bring that up. A good key, that one, to know.
Yeah, I think for people using a traditional PC, the shortcut keys are going to be the thing to learn as quick as possible.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the Samsung and the different tablets. It's interesting to see how quite a lot of them have got pens on them as well. Touch pen, digitizers.
Yeah, and I know that they demonstrated this, didn't they, during the Surface announcement that the pen are actually kind of pressure sensitive, same as they are, I think, on the Note and the S3, I think. Sorry, not the S3, but on the Note.
Yeah.
Whereby it's pressure sensitive. So, I mean, certainly Apple have always clearly stated that, as far as they're concerned, the stylus is redundant. But I think Microsoft's always been pretty keen that a stylus actually does have a big part to play with a tablet style device for just writing annotations and also if you do find yourself in the desktop mode and you haven't got the keyboard handy, that at least you've got a stylus that you can help.
Yeah. I mean, I very, very rarely use the pen on my Note, and I wouldn't miss it if it wasn't there, to be honest. It's the screen size that I like about it. So I'm not sure about. I mean, I've had tablet PCs and used the pens and things on there, but I don't know. I don't know whether that's something. If a good touchscreen, you generally don't think you need the Note, but and I noticed all these pens as well. These are all on the Intel versions, aren't they? Not on the ARM versions.
Yes, yeah. Which again, I think I think maybe the ARM tablets that are being pitched a bit more at the consumption style audience rather than the Windows 8 and the Windows 8 Pro devices, whereby they are really their kind of key consumption and creation play.
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm in kind of the dilemma, really, because I'd like to get a Windows 8 tablet, but I think I'd like the idea of the ARM one with the long battery life and the thin light, and that's kind of an iPad or my Google tablet sort of replacement. But then again, I thought if I got the Intel one, it could potentially mean that when I travel, do CES or whatever, I wouldn't need to take my laptop with me. I'd just have the one device. So, but then I wouldn't have the battery life, and so it's kind of a catch-22. And I don't know which. To me, I think the Surface Pro looks the ideal device, but then we've got quite a wait for that, and that's still an Intel-powered one, and I wouldn't get the long battery life. So I'm still sort of in that dilemma, which is the better way to go, and I'm not convinced that the ARM version has everything I need. For example, I love on Windows, like Windows Live Writer, and we know there isn't an ARM version of that. I may want to edit some videos that I've taken at CES or whatever, and the ARM version would be ideal for that. So that's where the Windows version, the Intel version, comes in. But then I like the iPad and the long battery life, so it's kind of like this. You've got to compromise between the two. It doesn't. I don't think we've yet seen the sort of the ideal device.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think the Windows RT stuff, as you say, when you're traveling, isn't going to be the full replacement. I think you're going to maybe still look at taking an Ultrabook or something with you. Whereas if you go for the Intel stuff, then that should be possible with the right device to be the one and only device you need to take with you, whereby you can switch into both modes. And I think mean, I think with devices like Asus, their transformers where you've got the battery and the keyboard and the device, then that could be a good way of getting you get at least through a working day. Because if you do need that, the chance are if you do need that bit of extra battery life, you probably, because you're creating or editing videos, like you say, so that second battery might just help kind of tip the balance.
Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, you just carry the one device, like you said, and as I can see me carrying sort of 3 or 4 devices this year, depending on what I've got with me. So, but it's going to be hard if the Surface price is a reasonable price. It's going to be very, very, very tempting.
Yes, I mean, yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting time in October.
Yeah, absolutely.
Time to hide the bank statements.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What?
Yeah.
How many more do you need? No, we don't need to go through all that again. It's not for me. It's for the kids.
It's not for me. It's for the website.
Oh yeah, that's the other one. Yeah, yeah. I think as well as Samsung, I think Asus announced some as well, didn't they? A pair of tablets, and they did the same thing. There's an Intel and a RT version.
Yeah, I think the announcements are going to follow a common theme. It's just it's going to be interesting to see who can get closest to the Surface, because, as I said before, I think that the key with the Surface is the fact that that keyboard is part of the cover. Any other device, I still kind of inclined to agree with Mary Jo Foley that you are going to end up in one of two camps, where the keyboard's permanently attached, or the keyboard's been left in a room and you're always forgetting the keyboard, and thereby you just kind of get used to living without it.
I mean, I had the TC1100 tablet PC with a detachable keyboard, and I generally left the keyboard on most of the time because I used it with the keyboard. Occasionally, maybe if I was out at a trade show or something, you fold the keyboard away and while you're holding it vertically. But I think the Surface is definitely the key. It's going to be either be really good and a game changer, or it's going to not. It's going to be overpriced and a Zune. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. I did notice lots of hybrids.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I know Dell announced a few of theirs, and they've got kind of the next version of the. I'm trying to remember the name of it now, but the convertible.
Yeah, with
where
the
the
swivel.
screen flipped. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of it now.
I don't know, but somebody did. I think Gary posted the picture and I retweeted it because Gary took a picture of it, and someone said that it got the ugliest machine they've ever seen.
Yeah, but I think where those kind of devices whereby they do completely convert to cover over the keyboard, again could be an interesting device. My worry would be kind of thickness and weight, I think, which again is the power of the Surface, the fact that that keyboard is just as light as the cover.
But in some respects, I wonder whether some of these are novelty things that are going to end up going away. I know that, so there's a new HP Ultrabook that's got a touch smart, so it's a touch screen. And they used to have a Windows, well, it might have been a Vista machine, I think, a touch PC with that sort of fold away keyboard. And I just wonder whether it's a bit of a gimmick for now, and we're going to see lots of these things. And as the market settles down, we'll get back to standard laptops in clamshell format and standard tablets, and we won't see all the gimmicky hybrid devices, because I'm sure this kind of the hybrid devices are like best of both worlds or worst of they're either one thing or the other.
Yes, no, I'd be inclined to agree with that. The other interesting stuff I saw was the desktop PCs where the screen can kind of fold flat almost. That looks quite an interesting concept for a desktop, at least, where you maybe just want to quickly walk in the room and maybe just quickly stand up and type a quick response to something, and you could just lay the screen down flat. And
and you just can't. I just can't see that in a sort of a corporate environment. Maybe it would work in some high-tech companies in Silicon Valley, but not in a warehouse in Bradford.
Yeah, and the biggest innovation that I've seen that I really like is I'm sure it was one of the new HP all-in-ones, whereby you can actually clip the back off, and it's actually designed to be user upgradable. It's really nice, because that's always my worry about the all-in-ones. I really like them, and would definitely be top of my list from an next PC, but that's always my worry. That's why I've always built my own PCs. The fact that you can upgrade them, but just really good to see some innovation in that way.
Yeah, the only ones it does make sense. Right from the first HP Touch Smarts, I've liked those, and so I've still got the HP Touch Smart that was a Vista machine. It's now running Windows 8, and I've got that in the living room, and it's the only PC you can see in the living room now. And sort of the family walk up to that one and touch it. The kids want to look at Xbox games or Lego or whatever, they go and use it, and I go and do it and check the news and the weather. And so we all sort of walk up to that one, and it's one that's always there and always on. So it makes sense from that sort of point of view. Rich, interesting comment from Rich there. He says since Windows RT can drop down to the desktop, you're going to have a keyboard trackpad lurking around somewhere. But some of these Windows, this is going to be the compromise that we're yet to really understand how well it's going to work, isn't it? Because some of these RT tablets don't have a built-in keyboard.
Yeah, and that's the gamble really. That's why I did hope that RT would be desktopless, because that's the shortcut really, isn't it? The fact that not all the control panel has been converted into touch friendly, or touch first, and also the fact that Office is sitting there. But I think what I found with the Icona is that once you've got things set up the way you want it, you do tend to see, assuming you are using Metro apps, you do tend to see the desktop less and less as you've got things set up the way you want it, and just start to use it on a daily basis rather than still tweaking it and changing settings. But no, I definitely agree. I think that is going to be the compromise. I don't know if my response is at the chat room yet, but I was just saying the one thing I have discovered, and me and Ed talked about this, that Windows 8, when you're trying to touch controls on the desktop, does seem to be more accurate than Windows 7 was. So they've clearly done some work with trying to detect what your intent was, even if you're slightly off center.
Right. Yeah, I found Windows 8 does seem to work better in desktop mode with touch. Certainly, the on-screen keyboard's better, and even in the desktop mode. So, yes, it is definitely better. I found the worst program, or the worst two programs to use on Touch Smart and Windows 7 were iTunes and the Zune software. Because the Zune had tiny scroll bars, and iTunes had a similar thing, and they actually both work better in Windows 8. And obviously, it's nothing Apple or Microsoft have done with the Zune or the iTunes. It's just Windows 8 seems to work better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we get with these Windows 8. It's definitely a good time to be interested in the whole industry, and it's just it's a good time. We've got things like the Nexus tablet from Google as well, and new iPhones coming. So it is a good time to see all this new stuff and be sort of at the heart of it.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting, to see how Windows 8 sells.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's. I mean, it'll do all right, won't it? Because it's Windows and it's on new machines. Whether it'll be a Vista or a Windows 7 or an XP is a different matter. I think when it comes to business, it's going to be a hard sell. But I think when it comes to the consumer, it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, I mean, enterprises I think would have ignored Windows 8 anyway, regardless of what they'd done, changing the UI. So, but no, I agreed. It would have been nicer if the desktop had been a more familiar Windows 7 environment, so that maybe they could have deployed them side by side, but it's. I mean, at the end of the day, it's Microsoft says themselves this is their gamble. So let's see if it pays off.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I know don't repeat yourself, but like I said last week, when you're in the desktop mode, you really don't see a lot of difference anyway. So it's not like you're going to have to retrain masses of for someone with the desktop PC. They had 7, they get 8. There's not a huge amount of retraining once you're in the desktop. When it starts up, the first thing I do is hit the Outlook, which is on the taskbar, which is on the second monitor. As soon as you click that, you've gone from Metro, so you could virtually not be in Metro for the rest of the day. So there's not really a huge amount of training to be done on that. Now, we've looked forward at exciting things that are coming. Something that's going, perhaps less exciting, but it's definitely going, is Internet TV in Windows Media Center. Now, there was a time when this first launched that this looked like the future of Media Center, perhaps, and why Media Center was in a great position to be the hub of the living room, as bringing all these internet services into one place. And I would imagine everybody listening has seen it at some point. You got here in the UK anyway, you get video content from MSN UK, and it's kind of integrated in the EPG. So, it had the future if you could maybe if they'd work with iPlayer and ITV Player and all this kind of things to have a fully integrated EPG with catch-up services, and this could have been it. But anyway, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been the UView, couldn't it?
It could have been, yeah, and it was perfectly placed, but it, for whatever reason, either the company, BBC, ITV, all these other places didn't really get into it. Yeah, Rich says we used it on lots of 70s Doctor Who. It did. It had all the Tom Baker ones in. I've watched those. It was a nice service. It worked well. Anyway, fellow MVP Barb Bowman noticed this first because she saw the threads in the forums of people getting very upset about it. And so I had a quick check, and it says that September 20th, 2012, the Internet TV experience in Windows Media Center will no longer be available. However, you'll still be able to find the great videos and much more via your internet browser. And it gives you a link to MSN Video. And actually, one thing I did find as well is if you've already got it installed and working, it will work till the 20th. If you haven't configured it yet and you're going to do the setup, setup doesn't work now. It just sticks you back to the start menu. So if you haven't got it already working, then tough. If you have got it working, then you've got till the 20th to watch the content. It does seem a shame that what could have potentially been a real killer feature of Media Center is being put out to pasture so soon as well. And we are, certainly when Microsoft have de-emphasized the Media Center, they do mean business.
Yes, they certainly do. I take it no one's discovered a way to get Media Center onto the RTM MSDN licenses yet. No,
still no keys available for that yet.
No.
So a real shame in that. They really don't want you to use it.
No, they don't. I mean, I understand that it is an MSDN license. At the end of the day, people shouldn't be using it for their HTPCs. But I also think that there are people that need to test their add-ins and whatnot with Windows 8 Media Center. So it would have been nice to just get one key.
Yeah. Well, the made for Media Center add-in. We'd like to test that. We can only test it on the RTM on the release candidate, and it does work, but we don't know on the RTM version. And all the providers are like that. And at the end of the day, it is a development platform that's supported on MSDN, and Media Center is supported as still, and you can pay for it. So yeah, you think the developers would have access to it. So I know a lot of people got upset by that removal, but in fact, there's a nice thread on the comments about it as well. But the best comment I've seen is so I think it was Klaus who said on the comments. He said, "I wish Microsoft would release the source code for Media Center on Coplex." It'll never happen, and I'm sure I think someone suggested that. It might be you or Gary had suggested that already, but it would be nice, wouldn't it? But it'd be nice to have all that so someone else could pick up the reins and do something with it. You see the guys doing Media Portal really pushing the development. It'd be nice to see that happening, but it's not going to happen. There's a lot of proprietary code in there.
But it would be really nice to say. I think the community could do some amazing things with it.
Yeah, which is probably one reason why it's a bit like when HP killed off WebOS. they did it in such a way that it didn't really. You don't really want anybody else doing anything with it.
No.
Okay, so talk about Media Center platforms. One system which I know a few listeners use is Plex Media Server, which is actually a variant of XBMC. It's a sort of commercialized version, and they've launched a new web client and updated the Media Server and a Plex Pass subscription. So I'll link in the show notes for the details, but it's a quite interesting actually concept. The Plex Pass is $3.99 a month, and basically you become a beta tester for £3.99 a month. And then when they make the premium features available, you get to pay for them at a slight discount.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, in some ways, I can I can kind of see the sense behind that because I mean, it's like I'm sure many people jump on the Xbox previews and then never give any feedback. At least if you're paying for it, there's some momentum for you to give some feedback. But
Mm.
I think that's a bit of a cheat that they charge you for the features afterwards.
Yeah. But anyway, link it a chance if
I
you.
like it so much. I'd like to pay twice, please.
Yeah, exactly. The web client does look very nice, though. So I know that quite a few people are using Plex Media Server. Although I know more people are actually actively working with XBMC. And I know we talked about this last week, and I mentioned at the beginning, MPEG-2 playback on Raspberry Pi works really well. The latest version of Raspberry MC supports the MPEG-2 playback, and they've added PVR support as well. I know Daniel Vieira has been doing a lot of stuff on this, and I think he's going to put some stuff on his blog, so I'll link to that when he's got that up there. I think he's got it working with basically as a TV on there. So, yeah, Diehard's asking, he says, I'm late, any coverage on your PVR done? Well, yeah, Daniel's got it working. I think he's got network tuner working out somewhere. I think he's using it with Media Portal, so I'm not quite sure what setup he's got, so he's going to talk about that. I've got it working with a HD Home Run. So I've got the HD Home Run running. Now, I couldn't get the Raspberry Pi or XBMC to control the channel changing. I'm pretty sure there's a way of doing it. I just have not a lot of time with it. But if you remember, I reviewed an app for the iPad that allows you to control HD Home Run. And so I used that, and that works really well. So there's a link for that in the show notes, and that works perfectly. So now I can watch live TV on the Raspberry Pi, as well as DVD and recorded TV from Media Center. So Raspberry Pi turned into a nice little Media Center add-on for £29 for your board, £8 for your case, and £2.40 for your decoder.
Yeah, no, sounds brilliant. I mean, that's one of the things that always kind of put me off trying alternatives to Media Center is the fact that I don't want a PC sitting under the TV, but a small little Raspberry Pi device, I could live with that.
Yeah, I think there are some controller apps for the HD Home Run for Linux, so I just need to work out how you do that from XBMC. I'm sure it's really easy when you look at it closely. So I did get it working from Debian, where you can actually do the tuning and change the channels, but in the Debian VLC is not very good at playback. I think it doesn't use the hardware acceleration, so it's not really good enough. But under XBMC, it definitely works. I know Daniel's been doing work on that. And in fact, got a little project we're going to be working on with the guy I met at the Raspberry Jam last night. He's got a two-line display working from the Raspberry Pi using an Arduino board. So it's not as common now, but do you remember sort of a few years ago, the big thing was to have a sort of LCD display on your Media Center machine? So
yes.
Outplaying and all that kind of stuff. So I think we might be able to get that working with the Raspberry Pi and XBMC, which should be quite nice for if you want to use it for music playback with a headless device and maybe some kind of Android remote control for XBMC. So you could queue up your music, play it, and it would put it out through the audio output or through the HDMI, and you don't have to put your TV on or whatever. So some clever guys out there that can do hacking into this stuff. What else want to mention? Oh, Gary's got a couple of posts about projectors as well, which he had a look at, but I'm sure he can talk about them.
I'd love to see Gary's house, with all these projectors set up, and it'd be like an episode of the Gadget Show or something, with him sitting there looking at four all at the same time, trying to decide which one's the best.
Yeah, because I think he's the latest one he wrote about was about 3D, so a portable projector with 3D for games. So God knows what it's like when you're walking. You don't know what's real in his house and what's 3D projected.
Actually, I'm just trying to think if I've ever seen Gary and John from the Gadget Show in the same room. Actually,
good point. Well, we'll ask him about that next week. Hopefully, he'll bring some to the. In fact, he did say he was going to try and bring some with him. So he'll come. He won't come with a Raspberry Pi to use group like me in my pocket. He'll come with a load of projectors. A couple of nice little TV apps. BBC iPlayer app for iOS has got download options on it now as well. I love the BBC iPlayer app. It's great, but you can't take any content with it, or you couldn't. Now you can. So next time I'm on with travels, I can download a lot of BBC shows. I'm stick them on the iPad and watch some on the plane, or if you're on the train or whatever. Great when you're going on holiday, perhaps like you were saying, load up the tablet. I can load up the iPad. So I think that's a great idea. I'm glad the BBC have eventually got around to doing that. I know, and they said it's available in iPlayer and for the iOS now and Android coming soon. No sign of a Windows Phone app. And I do remember seeing a post a couple of weeks ago from BBC saying it was a bug in Windows Phone that was preventing them from actually doing that. For working on an iPlayer app for Windows Phone. So maybe Windows 8 or Windows Phone 8 will be better for them.
Yeah, I think so. I think as we talked about at the start, there's just still limitations in Windows Phone 7 that just prevents them, having the iPlayer, which is it's unfortunate, really. But hopefully, Windows Phone 8 will, overcome those issues.
Also, if the SkyGo's been updated for Android, but they warn you don't install Jelly Bean on your phone if you want to use it. And also for Android, TV Catch-Up. I don't know if you've ever used this. This works on... You don't really need an app for this. It will work on just HTML browser. I think it'll work on Windows Phone. I've not tried it. I've tried it on the iPhone and Android. But they've actually launched a dedicated app now, so you can stream any of the... over 3G or Wi-Fi, most of the UK available channels. So you get BBC and ITV and Channel 4, 5, and most of the digital channels as well you can stream. So it's quite nice, quite a nice app actually. And I used to use this a couple of times if you want to watch the qualifying when I was out and about, and you could stick that on in the background when it was on BBC. So free app, and you just need to be in the UK for it to work, and you need registration, and that's about it. So nice to have that feature. Also, I want to mention. Posted a video of looking at an ultrabook from HP, the MV4, which is one of the cheaper ultrabooks. So if you're interested in one of that, have a look at that. Link in the show notes. Oh, and I mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, no, I was looking at the price on that, and it certainly looked quite cheap for an ultrabook, because you kind of expect them to be in the, kind of 800-900 quid bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 649, I think, the one that they sent me, and
yeah. Well, that was with a hybrid drive, did I see?
Yes, that's it. Yeah, I've got it's this one here. You can see on the camera. It's fairly thick compared to my Air, but it's certainly thinner than any of my other Windows laptops. Sort of built-in battery as well, so sort of the Apple roots. It's got the nice sort of slope back on there with the Hewlett-Packard written on the back, which I noticed when I was at Shanghai. That's their new sort of design. But it's nice sort of feel to it. Nice. It's not too heavy, so quite a nice ultrabook. And I think at that price, it's probably if someone's looking for a decent laptop at sort of 600-700 quid, then I think it's definitely worth looking at. I think it's 6 gig of RAM on there and the hybrid drive. It's fast as well. From powering up on the video, and I think I've got it. It's about 10 seconds, something like that, on a restart. So imagine that with Windows 8. I think that'd be pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a shame not to see a touchscreen on there, but certainly, good to see. It's good to see it's got a Core i3 processor as well. So
yeah, and Rich says is it 39 by 700? Probably, I think it is. It's not particularly high res, but my Air isn't high res either, so I didn't notice too much on that. So I'll also mention there's been a ton of my movie updates. I'm not going to go through them. We need a dedicated show for. So if you're in My Movies, they've been updated all the time, and they've updated the updates. So, if you're in My Movies, you should get the latest version. There's plenty going on. They certainly do update it. And also, I think to mention, Amazon App Store's launched in the UK for Android devices. So maybe there's a Amazon tablet on the way. But so if you're on Android, you can get the apps from Amazon now as well as from the Google Play.
Yeah, it'd be good to see that Kindle Fire coming over here.
Yeah, maybe that's isn't there an announcement this week on that? I'm pretty sure there is. I think it's the day after. And I think there's a Motorola going on tomorrow as well as Windows Phone. So it's a busy week.
Yes, going to be a busy October as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see some of this some of this stuff come through. Get my money ready for my Surface. But before that, we've got these group September 22nd. So don't forget that. Get registered. We really want to see you there. Loads of stuff going on now, I think. So it's going to be a good day. So the adults register and bring your kids along as well, and again look at the Scratch programming or whatever. So hopefully we'll see you there. Rockwell says Amazon on the 6th, so look out for that. So thanks to everybody that joined us in the chat room. A quite busy chat room again tonight. Jason, thank you for joining me. Glad you're back from your holiday.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been good.
Gary must be still on his travels somewhere. I'm sure Andrew is secretly preparing for the new series of Strictly Come Dancing because he's been busy a lot in the evenings recently.
Yeah, I thought I was auditioning for the X Factor.
It could be. You could be right. Maybe that's what Gary is tonight. There's a bit of rivalry going on there. He said he was in Germany last week, but maybe he was in training somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Send your answers.
I wasn't even bear thinking about.
Maybe they've got a duet or something going on. Some kind of dance combo. Yeah, you never know. Anyway, if you know what Gary and Andrew are up to tonight, send your answers on a postcard to Jason Coombs. All right, so thanks for joining. Thanks everybody in the chat room. Links for everything we talked about in the show notes, and we should be back 8 o'clock, 8:30, something like that. Keep an eye on Twitter, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers. Thanks, Ian.
Great stuff. Thanks, guys. I'll stop the recording. Stop the stream. So thanks to everybody. Thanks for joining the chat room. Do appreciate that. It's some favourite part of the show is getting you guys in there. So I'll switch the stream off for now and switch the